this is Andrea Kalli, and in today's video I want to show you some of the really great ways and reasons to use the Quick Properties panel for your library items and your video project items in Camtasia 2021. And I'm going to show you 3 different projects or 3 different library items that I have, and they show you different things. So Quick Properties panel is really fabulous. Now let's show you this first example. This is some animated text library items that I do a lot of typography in Camtasia. So let's start this at the beginning and I'll show you what the Quick Properties panel does. Now notice that this group is all in one, and if you look off to the right, you see I have an easy way to change the logo image and the text that's in it, as well as some line items. So let's go ahead and run through this. It's a simple title design. Let's slow this down. I'm just going to forward through this, and right about here you start to see where the additional text outline elements come from basically my name, my text, and then it moves up and they begin to disperse out, and then it moves on to the rest of the text animation. So I want to show you how I make this happen. Let's show you something here. I'm going to change my name in the Quick Properties panel. And as you can see, all of the different elements change. It changes to all what I typed in. So there are multiple text elements and they all change at the same time. Now how does that happen? It's Quick Properties. That's how that happens. So let's dive into the group a little bit and let's look for where those outline text items are at. So in group 3 here, that's where they're at. And if you're not ever really sure where something is at, simply hide it and you can see what turns on, what turns off. So I'm going to go into this group here, and I've got them named text outline. There's several of them. Okay, so this text element right here is the main solid text, and then these text outlines are the outline items. So I have them animating in and animating out. And it would be a real pain if I had to go into each one of these and edit the text for each one of these items. So that's where Quick Properties really comes to play, and that's the real beauty of it. So let's take a look at the Quick Properties panel. And you can see here that I have the main text, and then I have 13 linked items. And you can manually link these, you can remove some, but let's say these are not linked. This is what it would look like if I did not link these. Then they would all show up individually over here on the right on the Quick Properties panel. And because I don't want to have to do that, I want to change one line of text and it changes everything. I simply begin to link these. Okay, they're all linked. So all of these individual text elements now act as one, and I just changed the one item over here in Quick Properties panel, and then it's done. I'm going to cancel that. Let's change this back. Great, I love it. The other part of what I've set up in the Quick Properties panel is to easily change the logo. That comes in later on. And this line item right here is this right here, so I could change the color. Here I could change the font style if I wanted to, and then change the font color. Let's say I'm actually going to be using this on a white background. I would want to change that text to a darker color. That way you could see it. And I do it all right here in the Quick Properties panel. So let's change the logo real quick. let's say I have a logo with the letters right in here are actually white. All I need to do is I could either drag it from its location on my computer, or I could right click and say import file. I'm just going to go ahead and drag it over. And there, it's updated that logo image. Let's just say this was going to be on a light background, so I wanted the text and the line to be a dark color. Right now I'm going to change the project settings to where the color is, let's say white. Right now I can't see anything, so let's go ahead and start to change the color of these. Let's choose a nice blue. I do the same thing with the rest of the text elements over in the Quick Properties panel. Let's change the color of the line, maybe a gold. Sure, why not? Now let's run this. I love it. Very easy. Okay, that's sample number 1. I showed you how I set up the Quick Properties to basically combine multiple elements in this animation, group them to make them act as one. That way all I have to do is change it in one area in the Quick Properties panel. Okay, so let's go on to the second example. So in this example, I'm showing you a grid scene that I set up, where I could have images as well as videos can go in here. Right now they are temporary PNG graphics with just the number on it, so I can easily identify it and to make it very generic. But let's take a look at the Quick Properties panel. So over here I can see that I've got photo 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 12. And then the grid overlay right here, so I could change the color of that. But let's go deeper into the Quick Properties panel. And as you can see, here are all the photos 1 through 12, and I went ahead and renamed these to make it easier to identify. Here's the grid overlay element. But if I scroll down to the available properties, what am I looking at here? Now, all of these graphic segments are controlled by media mat, and I use a shape. I usually turn that shape red so it's easier for me to identify them in the Quick Properties editor. I know I don't want these to be part of the editable area in the Quick Properties panel, so I don't move them up. So available properties doesn't necessarily mean that you have to move them all up to the editor area or the visible properties. It just means they're part of this whole structure of this scene or this animation. So I'm going to cancel here. And to make this really easy, let's say I want to change all 12 of these graphics to actual images. I either drag them from my computer or the file location on my computer, or I right click and say import file. I'm just going to drag them. So let's go ahead and take one of my images that I'm going to change out. I'll just keep going. See how fast this is. Watch this. Okay, that was really quick and easy and made possible because I set up the Quick Properties editor to include all 12 of these individual segments or individual pieces that made up this particular grid scene. The grid overlay element, which is created by some lines. If I want to change the color to something else, maybe I want it to be, what about that nice orange? It's very pumpkin-y, very fall-like. We could do that. Change the grid color simply by changing the element in the Quick Properties panel. If I wanted to change the size, I think max is 10, so I'm going to go down to maybe 8. Change that. For the line item, I've got it set as solid. What if I wanted to do some dashes instead? My other option here are some bigger dashes. So there's some options right there. But see how easy it was to change those without having to go deeper into those subgroups, simply because I had it set up in the Quick Properties panel. Okay, let's move on to the third example, which is a bigger scene, more elements. Okay, now this is a full scene. It has images coming in, there's some animation, there's some text that's animating in, there's a logo. Now let's take a look at how this scene runs. I'm going to play it. And that's the end of the scene. Sometimes what I need to do is, with the group selected, make sure that it is scaled at 100%. Sometimes you'll find that it's not scaled at 100% when you know it should be covering the screen top to bottom, left to right. Just make sure that the scale is at 100% or where you're expecting it to be at. So with the group selected and the Quick Properties panel and editor all set up, let's take a look at this. I'm going to scroll down. You see I've got the 4 images. They're a portrait style. I've got some text right here where I put in some details about the image. There's the logo area right here, some text area. We've got this banner right here. Background colors. We have a lot of things going on. Let's take a look at the Quick Properties editor. And again, notice there are 4 items that have a media mat shape that is controlling the angle and the width and all of that. These pink items right here that are in available properties but I don't want to be part of the Quick Properties panel are those media mat shapes. One thing to notice when you're setting up the Quick Properties editor is that right here is where I can change the order of what I'm seeing in this Quick Properties panel. So I want to, let's say I want the text to be above the image and not below the image. I'm going to save that. And the Quick Properties panel updates. I'm going to change that back, but you can see you can basically change the order of the elements in the Quick Properties panel just by changing the order in the Quick Properties editor. Let's go ahead and change that back. You simply drag it in the order. That's what these little 3 lines does. It helps you to drag the order of the visible properties. Now let's go ahead and change some of these items. I have 4 portrait style images in place right now. What if I want to mix it up? Maybe I've got a couple of landscape style or more rectangular dimensions of the images. Let's drag over a couple of images. Let's go ahead and change a few of these other items that are set up in the Quick Properties panel. Text, coloring. It's a picture of an acorn, so we would actually change it to, say, acorn. Something along those lines. But you can see how easy it is to change it because I have this group all set up with the Quick Properties panel elements. I'll go down. I could change the logo if I wanted to something else. Let's go ahead and do that. Great. Now, if I did need to adjust the size of that, what do I need to do? I need to actually go into the group, into the subgroups where I can locate that actual image file. Lower right text and logo, that looks to be where it's at. I'm going to go deeper into that subgroup. And here is the image file right here. I can adjust the scale and the position. Okay, let's get out of that. Select the group. What else do we want to change? text background color is pink. What is that going to change? It's going to change this right here, the pink color on this lower banner, and the pink element in the title area. So let's say we're sticking with our fall theme color. Let's go with gold. Maybe we want to do a little deeper gold. Okay. Text background, that's this right here. Let's turn that into an orange. Maybe a pale yellow. Now the scene background is really the shape that drives this white color right here. Let's turn this into let's stick with the yellow. No, it's not very pretty. Let's try something else. Let's go gold. Sure, why not? But you get the idea. Setting things up in the Quick Properties editor for the Quick Properties panel to organize it allows you to make all the necessary changes in this group. And in this example, it's basically an entire scene that I could build a full video message around, and then I'm done. So those were 3 examples on how I use the Quick Properties panel, how I set it up. Once you've got all your different elements in place, images, media mats, text, lines, other graphics, then you go into the Quick Properties panel editor, Quick Properties editor, and you begin to organize. You go into the available properties and you click the plus symbol right here to move it up into the visible properties, and you begin to structure the organization of it and the grouping. And then you can also change the text over here on the left, which basically controls this text over here in the panel when you've saved it. Just makes it easier to know what you're looking at. One thing that I just find helpful from the get-go is I try to make sure that I color any shapes that I'm using as a media mat to something else, something not white, which is what the default would probably be if you're pulling that annotation shape in. But I know that I colored them all pink, so I know that I don't want those moved up into the visible properties area. Cancel here. Okay, so you get the idea of the importance and the value of the Quick Properties editor, the Quick Properties panel, and how it will speed things up for you when you are using some of these elements that you've created and you reuse them over and over again in other video projects. Or if you're sharing this project with other people, it will make their life and the editing process so much easier and so much quicker. So I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.